We now welcome this year's guest speaker, Tasha Danvers.
Thank you. Well, now that I've met everyone, hello, my name is Tasha Danvers, and I stand before you today as an Olympic medalist, a Commonwealth Games medalist, an author, and someone who you may have seen on TV. But that's not all I am. In fact, that's not even who I am. See, I don't want to stand up here and preach to you about success, about how to be successful, the secrets of success, because you already know. You're here. But what I do want you to know is this. If you thought I was different from you when I stood up on this stage, you are very mistaken. See, I'm just like you, and you're just like me. We're no different. I can look around this city, I can look around your college, I can look around this hall, and I can say that someone may have been through some of the things that I've experienced. A child of divorce, financial struggle, some might even call it poverty, abuse, a sense of not knowing who I was, bullying, failure, and all those things could have destroyed me. But instead, I let them guide me, I let them shape me, and I let them strengthen me. See, what you're seeing here is the result. What you're seeing is what comes after the equal sign in an equation. What you're seeing is the finish line. So I want to take you back to the start of this race, to the beginning of my journey. See, I was born in South London to working-class parents. My mum was a secretary at the time, and my dad was a plumber. And you know how some relationships go, didn't work out. So when I was about 2 years old, they divorced. I don't remember much from that time period, but I do remember some of the places that we lived. Streatham, Tooting, and Peckham. Peckham. Let me tell you, it ain't Croydon. So my mom, she worked really hard, being the entrepreneur that she is, being the go-getter that she is. She worked really hard and she studied, and eventually she became a hairdresser and she had her own shop. She had her own shop on top of another shop on Tooting High Road. It was called Coffee and Cream, spelt with a K. And I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was fantastic. In fact, it was brilliant. So brilliant that for a while we called it home. Yes, we lived in the hairdressers. Not an ideal situation. And I remember one time, my cousin and I, playing around in the waiting area, also known as playroom, and we found this newspaper, so we took the newspaper around the back, we're making hats and skirts out of it, we're having a ball. Finally, paper's in shreds, we go back to the waiting room, and there's this old lady, she's this.
Has anybody seen my newspaper? Special Jamaican imported newspaper.
Not a good situation. So living in a hairdressing salon had its ups and downs, its goods and bads. The good side, endless supply of hair gel. But on the bad side, if you came around the till on any given day, you might find some very interesting items. Ready Breck, Weetabix, and a jar of marmalade. Not a good situation. But we pushed through it. We pushed through it. And fast forward a few years, and now my mum has really, really gotten down. Being the go-getter that she is, being the entrepreneur that she is, she now not only has one hairdressing salon, she has two. She has her own home, and she saved up money. So she does what any normal person would do at this point. She decides to move to Florida. Lake Park, West Palm Beach, Florida. The deep south of America in the 1980s. Let me tell ya, it ain't Croydon. And I remember my mum got a knock on the door one morning, and a gentleman steps up to the door and he says, "Morning, ma'am. I'm from your local community. And I'm here to let you know that Lake Park is an affluent area, and we like to keep it that way. Because we were living good. See, the pound went a long way in America in the 1980s. But my mum brushed that off. She said, you know what, I'm sending my daughter to the best school in this town. I'm sending my daughter to Lake Park Elementary. That was fine by me, it was across the street. And Lake Park Elementary was good, it was fun, it was clean. Lots of white walls, lots of white floors, and lots and lots and lots of white folk. But I do remember there was one black gentleman there, and he sure kept those white walls clean. So you can imagine getting used to life in America was quite challenging. I remember the first day of school, I was the only black child in my class. And there was this one guy called Steve, and Steve was always in trouble. He found me very amusing, and on this particular day, he found my hair amusing, and the teacher saw him, and she said, Steve, you better sit your fanny down. It took me about 2 weeks to figure out why Steve had a fanny. You see, in America, this is your fanny. So life in America took some getting used to it. You know, it wasn't ideal, but we were pushing through it. We were pushing through it. And one day, my mum got a call from the school. They wanted her to come in. They wanted to talk to her. So she comes in, sits down in front of Mrs. Yeager. She says, okay, well, what's going on? Mrs. Yeager says, Miss McCoy, we have reason to believe that your daughter is potentially gifted. Sorry, potentially who? Miss McCoy, we have reason to believe that your daughter is potentially gifted. Okay, well, that sounds good. Okay, well, what does that mean? Oh, I'm so glad you asked, Miss McCoy. What that means is we're going to take your potentially gifted daughter. We're going to put her on a big, bright, yellow bus. We're going to drive that bus to a potentially gifted city where she's going to go to a potentially gifted class in a potentially gifted school. Now, I don't know about you, but I was excited. You should see me. Guys, have you heard? I'm potentially gifted. So by the time the day arrived for me to go to school, I was excited. I took my potentially gifted self, jumped on the big, yellow, potentially gifted bus, sat down with my potentially gifted frilly socks and my potentially gifted lunchbox. 5 minutes into the journey, I'm excited. 10 minutes into the journey, I'm really excited. 37 and a half minutes later, we arrive at Washington Elementary, Riviera Beach, Florida. Let me tell ya, it ain't Croydon. Lots of black fences, lots of black windows, and lots and lots and lots of black folk. And it didn't occur to me until much later that quite coincidentally, every black kid from Lake Park Elementary had been potentially gifted. And then I remember the knock that my mother got on the door that morning, and the gentleman steps up and he said, "Morning, ma'am. I'm from your local community, and I'm here to let you know that Lake Park is an affluent area, and we like to keep it that way." See, West Palm Beach was a very, very, very segregated area. And people didn't take too kindly to you wandering around in their community. And they would find ways to make sure that you weren't there. So after some couple years of harassment, my mom felt, you know what, we can't do this anymore. We're moving back to England. But that was a tough decision, because moving back to England meant we would start from zero. The few dollars that we had left by now didn't go very far in the UK. So we moved back to England, and I remember there were times when my mum wouldn't eat so much so that I could eat. I remember once we were down to the last can of beans. But there was still love, and we still had fun. And I remember one day my mum comes to me and she says, "Tasha, today I'm going to treat you." So I'm like, yes, what are we going to do? She says, "Tasha, I'm going to treat you. We're going to go clothes shopping." So I'm like, yes. What teenager doesn't want to go clothes shopping? So we go along. And we're going along, and we pass, Miss Selfridges. I'm like, okay, fair enough, we're not going there. Keep going along, British Home Stores. Okay, we're not going there. And finally, she stops outside a shop and she says, "Here we are." I look up at the sign, it says OXFAM. Now, I don't care what generation you're from, shopping at Oxfam is not cool. But you know, she struggled hard to get to this point, so I'm not going to disappoint her. I go on in, and I am browsing around at all the delightful previously owned items. I said to my mom, "Well, Mom, how much do I have to spend?" Big smile comes across her face. She digs deep in her pocket, and she pulls out £1. 3 skirts, 2 blouses, a hat, a scarf, and some gloves. I came up. £1 goes a long way in Oxfam. Not an ideal situation. And it seemed like every single time we were in there, my school friends were outside waiting at the bus stop. And I'd duck behind the 10-piece skirts. I swear by the end of it, the woman behind the counter thought I had a medical problem. But it wasn't ideal, but we kept on pushing. So fast forward some years, and I've been doing athletics by now, and I'm doing pretty well. And it's 1996, and I get a call from the University of Southern California, Los Angeles. They want to know if I want to come and get my degree there. They want to know if I'll come and represent their university as their #1 hurdler. Now, I hadn't seen the place. I didn't know a soul out there, but I thought, you know what? This is the opportunity of a lifetime. So my mom helped me pack my things up together, and I flew 10 hours, 5,000 miles to Los Angeles, California. I go through customs, I go through immigration, and I get outside, and I'm waiting for the guy in the bow tie and the suit and the sign that says, Miss Danvers. And I get out, and I see no guy with a bow tie and a suit and a sign that says Miss Danvers. In fact, I saw nobody. I had just flown 10 hours, 5,000 miles, and nobody was there to pick me up. I may have been 18, but I cried like a baby that day. It was terrifying. So about 3 hours later, someone comes to pick me up. And I'm, still trying to keep the excitement up, so I start looking through the brochure that I'd received from USC. It's got a nice, friendly roommate sitting on a bed with plush pillows and cool posters on the wall. So we arrive outside my dorm. The guy dumps my stuff on the curb, and adios. So I carry my stuff up to my room, and I open the door, and there's a cool, friendly roommate sitting on a bed with plush pillows and cool posters on the wall, and then I look over at my side. Nothing. See, I just had this impression that my room was going to look like it did in the brochures. We had nothing. And I didn't have any money to get anything. The roommate had to lend me a sheet. So situations weren't always ideal, but we're pushed through it. And I did what most student athletes do. I studied hard, and I trained hard. But as the year went on, I started to feel homesick. I started to get lonely. I started to feel sorry for myself. And then July rolled around, and July is the big championship, the NCAA championships. It's all we work for. It's what every single training day is about. Somehow, I made the final at these NCAA championships. And I was supposed to come in the top 3, but when I stood on that start line, all the emotions that I had, I brought them with me. And the best I can say is that I moseyed on down to hurdle 1, clambered over it, and walked off the track. Now, I'd learned a lot of lessons up to that point in my life, but I learned the greatest lesson that day. When you step up to that start line, you better cross that finish line. If you start the race, you need to finish the race. And that lesson never hit home to me more than it did in 2004. Because in 2003, I was running very well. I was running the most consistently I'd ever run. I was number 6 in the world, and I had a goal of becoming the Olympic medalist in 2004. And then I got pregnant. Not an ideal situation. But you know what? I remembered some of the lessons that I'd learned. I remembered that lesson that I learned in previous years, on that day. And I decided that I'd started this race and I was going to finish it. So I trained hard and I went from strength to strength. In 2006, I became a silver medalist in the Commonwealth Games. In 2007, I was a World Championship finalist. So things were looking good for 2008. But then 2008 rolls around and it seemed like every single thing that could possibly go wrong for an athlete was going wrong for me. First, I had Achilles problems. Managed to sort that out. First day back on the track, tore my hamstring. Managed to sort that out, got a virus. Now I'm running out of time. There are 4 weeks left until the Olympic Games. But you know what? I said, I started this race, and so I'll finish. And finish I did. Against all the odds, I made the final at the Olympic Games. Nobody thought I would make that final. In fact, when they released the team list, the head coach got 42 texts within the first hour asking, why have you picked Tasha Danvers? So when I stepped to that line at 10:30 p.m. on August 20th, 2008, I had a big smile on my face. And this is what happened next.
A world record, the great Usain Bolt. Another final, though, out on the track right now. The women's 400 hurdle final. Tasha Danvers going in this one for Great Britain. Let's join Stuart's story.
Well, follow that, and we have to. And the women have been waiting for some time. Hejnova of the Czech Republic drawn in lane 3. Biker of Russia in lane 2, just to the right of your shot. 54.38 her best. 3:05.8 is Rabchenyuk of the Ukraine. She was second in her semi-final, 54.6. Got a good lane, actually, the 4th lane. Not using the inside lane once again. 2 Americans in this final. There's the first of them, Sheena Toster. Just missed a medal in Athens. 4th placer. Won a heat, or won a semi-final, I should say, in 54.07. So she'll be tough. And the woman outside her may well be tougher. It's a very good lane for Sheena Toster. There's Melaine Walker of the Jamaica. Medals at 3 successive World Junior Championships. She's now 25. She's beaten Toster and Ross Williams this year. Has been very, very consistent. She's won both her races in this Olympic Championship. Tasha Danvers of Great Britain and the Shaftesbury Barnet Club. Well, didn't have a season before she came to these Olympic Games, but my goodness me, it opened up once she got here, 55.19, then 54.31, very close to her best. Stride pattern looking good. I don't know whether this is a good or a bad lane for her, with Walker on the inside lane, but she's got an American, Tiffany Ross Williams, outside her now. Ross Williams is 53.54, so she's sandwiched between 2 very, very quick athletes. How will she deal with that? We'll soon find out. Ross Williams won the American trials. 53.54 her best. So Anna Jesien of Poland, a European Championship finalist. She was 6th in that. Looked a little better than that in qualification, 54.36 for this final. Let's have a look at the full start list then. Biker of Russia, Hejnova of the Czech Republic, Rabchenyuk of the Ukraine, Toster of the United States, then Walker, Jamaica, Danvers of Great Britain, Ross Williams, the United States, and Jesien of Poland. The final of the 400-meter hurdles. Danvers, one of 2 women to reach this final of this event. First held in 1984, won by Nawal Matawakal of Morocco, who's now a senior figure with the IOC. Sally, of course, the champion in 92. Well, no problem with the start, and Tasha's gone off very quickly indeed, chasing Ross Williams into the back straight. If she can hold this stride pattern together, going quite well. Toster making some ground on Melaine Walker as they go into the back straight. Ross Williams now going very strongly as they approach 200 metres down the back straight. The big three going very strongly indeed. Tasha Danvers in good position at the moment. If she can hold her form as they come through to the 300-metre mark, well, who knows? Toster going very strongly at the moment. Toster and Melaine Walker, these two into the straight. Tasha Danvers in third place. If she could just hold on to this now, she'll come under pressure shortly. Melaine Walker now coming down the straight, stuttering into the hurdle but coming away from it. And Tasha, if she can just hold on, because Rapchinyuk is closing down, and I think she could get a medal. Melaine Walker is going to be the champion. She's the Olympic champion, and Tasha chasing down very quickly on Toster. Oh, it's close, but that's the third place.
See, what you just saw was the end of a race. It was the end of a journey that began when I was a child and culminated in this one moment. All the good things and all the bad things that had ever happened to me had come together to help create this one moment. And although it was the end of a chapter in my life, it was also the beginning of something new, the beginning of my vision to become the Olympic champion in London 2012. So, thank you. Thanks. See, when I started this conversation with you, I said, you're just like me, and I'm just like you. We're no different. So you have come to the end of a chapter in your life. You have come to the end of a particular journey, but really it's not the end. Really, it's the beginning of something new, the beginning of a great and fantastic vision for your life. And I can't promise you that you won't have setbacks. I can't promise you that you won't face obstacles. I cannot promise you that you won't experience challenges. But what I can do is encourage you to push through those challenges. Do not let them destroy you. Allow them to make you stronger. Allow them to guide you and allow them to strengthen you. Allow them to take you to higher heights and achieve amazing things. See, I have two prized possessions. One is my diploma. I have it framed and I keep it on my wall. I keep it on my wall to remind myself that I've done it, and therefore I can do it. The second is my Olympic medal. I keep it close to remind myself that I have done it, and therefore I can do it. I've been through a lot to achieve the things I've achieved, and I am proud of what I've achieved. And what I want you to do is go out into your community and make your community proud. Make your family proud. Make the people who have helped you to get to where you are today proud. But most of all, make yourself proud. And when you hang your diploma up on the wall, don't forget to every now and then give yourself a pat on the back and say, I've done it, and I can do it again. I hope that what I've said today has inspired some of you. I hope it's inspired all of you. And I hope one day I'll be listening to you, being inspired by you, telling your story about how against all odds you have achieved great, fantastic, and amazing things. I know we can do that. I know we can do that. You know why? Because I'm just like you, and you're just like me. We're no different. Congratulations to all the graduates for what you've achieved so far, and congratulations for all that I know you will continue to achieve. It has been an honor and it's been my privilege to share some of my stories with you today. Thank you all for listening. I'm Tasha Danvers.